What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to your home for all things combat sports.
Yo.
So we got a great main event coming up this weekend. Alexander Volkanovski back in action, back at his weight class, 145, taking on the ultra-exciting Yair Rodriguez. Now, the odds paint a very clear picture, and those point to Alex winning this fight pretty handedly, but I think Yair is definitely a live dog in this one.
Oh, me too. And Yair's been one of those guys for years that we've wanted to see at the very, very top of the 145 division. And, you know, there's been all kinds of things. Remember, he was cut from the UFC at one point and, like, came back, and we thought it was maybe like an example they were trying to prove, like, we don't care about any one of you, no matter what kind of talent you think you have or what kind of talent we see in you. If you are going to be a headache or a pain in the butt for us, we'll get rid of you. And then, of course, they brought him back, and everything seemed to be kosher between him and the UFC. And then out of nowhere, he just starts going through these great finishes and these great wins, and he's doing things like submitting people like T-City, and you're like, okay, this guy's not just a high-level karate-style striker who's got a bit of power. He's good everywhere. He seems to be evolving with the game, and I felt like it was only a matter of time we'd see Yair in a title fight. I know he's got that interim belt, but when you talk about the real champion, Volkanovski, you go up against him, you're talking about a whole nother level than interim, and you are actually going for the undisputed belt.
Yeah, it doesn't get more of a legit champion than Volkanovski. I mean, he's arguably the best champion the UFC has.
For sure.
He just went up and took on the guy that a lot of people would also argue is one of the best champions the UFC has in Islam Makhachev, and a lot of people think he did enough to get his hand raised in that fight. Either way, it was super close. So Volkanovski is a certified BMF. He's one of the best fighters on the roster, and I think this is going to be an excellent fight. I think it's going to take place largely on the feet. I think you're going to see some beautiful feinting, some traps being set, some combinations. You're going to see all tools being used, kicks, punches, elbows, clinch. I think you may even see some groundwork. I really cannot wait to see this. I am picking Alexander Volkanovski to win the fight. I think you can't do MMA math, but then again, you kind of can. You know, Alexander Volkanovski was tit for tat with Islam Makhachev in every step of that fight, including the grappling exchanges.
Right.
So when you did a camp that led you to the point where you can contend with Makhachev as far as grappling is concerned, you're coming back down to 145 even better than you were when you left the division. So I think we're going to see the best Alexander Volkanovski yet. And while I do think that Yair Rodriguez can kind of hang with him on the feet, although I do still kind of give Volkanovski the edge just slightly on the feet, I think the grappling disparity is what's going to really paint the picture here, as well as the strength. I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to be able to sort of big brother Yair in a way, and I'm looking for a finish probably in the 4th or 5th round. Yair's a tough guy, but I think Volkanovski is eventually going to impose his will.
Solid prediction. And before I give you my prediction, I have to say that Islam came out after that fight and was like, this guy is actually stronger than I thought he was going to be, which that tells you a lot. Because when you go from fighting these bigger guys, whether it's in the gym or, you know, for the UFC belt, and then you move back down to a smaller division, you're dealing with somebody either your size or smaller, you're talking about a whole different ballgame. And if you're able to, you know, manhandle people, that plays a big role mentally in the fight. If the person that's getting manhandled can't seem to, you know, get out of the grasp of the person that's got control of them, it can start to feel daunting and like there's no escape and everything they hit you with hurts. And I think that is true for Volkanovski. I think he hits really hard when he does strike. He's clearly very strong. You know, he used to be over 200 pounds, and people realize that he carried some of that strength that he used to have as a 200-plus pound man down to 145. He's super solid everywhere. His game plan is super solid every time he steps in the octagon. And if you're going to beat him, you have to have a perfect game. You have to have a perfect fight. And I do think that Yair is the best opposition for Volk to fight at 145 right now. But when I look at, you know, his body type and his style and everything, I have to revert back to Volkanovski's prior record. And Volkanovski has always been the shorter guy. He's always been the guy that people thought was going to, you know, have a tough time getting inside or have a tough time striking with this guy. Maybe he should take it to the ground. And then time and time again, he proves us wrong. He goes out there and outstrikes people like Max Holloway, who optically looked way bigger than him, same as Yair's going to look.
Who also outstruck Yair in their fight, Max Holloway did.
Right, yeah. Everybody seems to forget about those 3 fights that he had with Max Holloway. Tons of great rounds, tons of great exchanges for that, but he did get his hand raised every time they went out there, and Yair can't say the same. So it's not unfamiliar territory for us to see Volkanovski as the clearly shorter person go in there and try to outstrike somebody who's known as a prolific striker, who's got the range on him, who's got the distance, and knows how to mix it up really well. man, it's hard to bet against Volkanovski, and I think Yair is going to give it his all. He seems to rise to the occasion when the brightest lights are on him. But I think Volkanovski's going to take this one.
Yeah, me too. Yair's ultra exciting. And that submission of Josh Emmett, I mean, we both picked Yair, I believe, to win that fight when we made our predictions. However, neither one of us predicted that it would be off of his back via triangle. I mean, that's the kind of excitement that Yair Rodriguez does bring to the octagon, and he's always a live dog. He's always somebody that can go in there and make something happen, even if he's losing a fight handedly. Just look back to the Korean Zombie fight with that spinning elbow that we all had to rewind and watch a couple of times, including not just us at home, but the commentators as well, to figure out what the hell even happened that put the zombie on the canvas. So Yair Rodriguez brings ultra exciting, lightning fast striking that can end the night at any time, but I don't believe that's going to be enough to take out who I believe is the best champion that the UFC has right now.
They don't call him the GREAT for no reason.
That they don't.